I thought I'd do is, I thought I would mock up on the stats of possibly the new 5 stars. So, looking at these 3 5 stars, what I've done is generally most bots will get a 1.2% increase when they become a 5 star. So whether that's ability damage, whether that's HP, whether it's DPS. Some bots will get 1.3, some bots 1.1. The 8s will sort of decide that depending on if there's a ceiling they don't want to go above. But generally this is sort of stats we're going to be looking at when we see these guys as 5 stars. So starting off with Star Saber, so his health will go up to about 32,000 and 630 DPS, which is not bad for a tank. It's decent health, it's decent DPS, and his ability will do about 4,338 damage, give or take. And again, this is my mock-up, this is not actually in testing yet. Big question is, will there be a cost decrease? That's a big talking point on a lot of people's lips at the minute, and I'm not too sure. What I don't want from Star Saber, I don't want it to be another sack bot. And you've got to think that, well, how else is it going to be used at that cost? At a high cost, it's not going to be used for sack. But at a lower cost, he might, especially with the incredible range he's got. So I don't want Star Saber to be another sack bot. We're sort of talking about countering sack. I think the last thing we need is another bot that just changes that again, changes the meta, and all of a sudden we need something to counter Star Saber. So the question is, how can we incorporate Star Saber into the game without making him a sack bot? So I think if we reduce his cost, that'll do that. So that's a bit dangerous ground, sadly. Although I'd love to see him have a reduced cost, I just don't think it's feasible. And I was working it out that if you do 3 swipes with Star Saber, then he will do about 13.5k damage, and that will kill everything on the map for HQ18, and probably bring back about 15 ability points as well from the launch pad. So that's why, although I would like a cost decrease, I just don't think it is feasible. I don't think we can have it. So we've got to ask ourselves, how can we increase Star Saber's usability and his appeal? And the big one for me, and I'm a bit on the fence, let me know in the chat what you guys think of this. Would you swap his stun? Would you swap that for acid? Would that make him a good bot then? Because acid is the new meta. Everyone's sort of using acid. Disabled meta's gone. You know, with the anti-stun cores, things like that, with all the healing. And you've got to think, what appeal has Star Saber got? He's got a high cost. It's not really high damage yet. It's in a big area, so it's only advantage. But nothing else really. He's not got high HP. He's not got high DPS. And I think he's kind of lost his way in the meta. I don't think a 5-star Star Saber now will be desirable. And I think probably out of this batch, he's probably the least desirable bot. I mean, I can't even believe I'm saying that to myself right now. But I know we all want a 5-star Star Saber. And I know we've all wanted it for such a long time. But when it comes to pure mechanics of this bot in the meta, is probably the least desirable, but the most desirable for sentiment. So the question is, how can we make that relevant? And for me, it's making that acid. But is that possible for the apes? Who knows? It's a lot of talk and testing, basically, between ourselves, and we'll have to wait and see. Next up is Hoist. I think that Hoist, with his healing, with a 5-star, it got to 20k HP and 866 DPS, which is decent for a special bot. It's not amazing, but for 10 seconds, his healing will go up to about 500 healing per second at max. 5,000 healing, which is quite considerable, especially with the increase in speed. So I doubt there'll be much changes to Hoist, if I'm honest. I think Hoist is one of the few bots that will stay as he is. And next we've got Air Raid. So Air Raid with a 1.2% increase will do about 9,214 damage. Now for HQ17, that would have been absolutely immense. That would have wiped out pretty much anything on the map. But with HQ18, it takes out nothing at all. I've actually put the wrong screenshot there as well. I say with an EO core as well. It will do 9,214 damage. The question we've got to ask is Air Raid with an EO core, if it's doing 9,000 damage, is that going to be relevant? Because you need to combo it with something else. So I've talked about this before, that about bots on the shuttle. So it's all well and good saying you've got to combo, but if you're going to combo and need 3 bots to do a combo, you're not really going to do it, because you need to take 3 bots and it's limiting it elsewhere. So you don't want 3 bots to do one job. So you want Air Raid to do the job that he's designed for, and that's a massive bomb and wipe out some structures. Now, the stun with ability 11 is good. You can maybe mix it with some other bots. I've seen people saying you can use it with Brawn, but with Air Raid being such long range, I've said this before with other jets, that normally that long range is used for long range. And with Braun's short range, I can't see people making much use of air raid with Braun really. So although stun is good for 20 seconds at a low costly +2, I still think 9,000 damage at a cost of 3 is good, but I think 9,214 damage is just not enough. Now you can chain it. Now that's where the damage will be considerable, but it's making sure that we're sort of chaining that damage and sort of pulling it off and doing 9,000 in a bigger area. But it's still not going to take anything out, and with the amount of healing in the game, if there's anything healing nearby, it's going to be a waste. So even with air raid, I think HQ17 he'd have been massively OP. With HQ18, not so much. But we're finding this, that a lot of bots that were amazing at HQ17 and could do a really good job, like the likes of Jetfire and Firefly and Jazz, they're just not quite as relevant at HQ18. And there's a lot of balancing to come. I am slightly worried for this batch. At first instance, I was like, we've been asking for air raid forever. This is brilliant. We've been asking for Star Saber forever. This is brilliant. We've got Skids in there, who I think is probably one of the best bots in the game right now. And then Topspin and Terramander, I've seen some people using that to great effect. I was like, and even with the change that I would like to see, that I suggested in playtest, if he gets that, that'd make him amazing. And then Hoist is amazing anyway. So I was like, this could be an amazing batch. But I'm actually quite worried for Star Saber and Air Raid unless they get a buff of some kind. I really do think they need an improvement. I'm hoping that the Fusion Bomb goes up to around 11k. That's where I think it needs to be. And I'm hoping, like I said, Star Saber needs something different. It's not a cost decrease. It's not a damage increase. It's not HP. It's not DPS. So you got to ask yourself, what else can we give Star Saber? And that's the big question. So if you've got any suggestions, put it in the chat. So next week we'll actually take a look at their max stats and talk about what we've been talking about in playtest. So stay tuned, guys. Next week's going to be a big stream showing them actually in testing, showing their stats, their base stats, what we get them at, and we're going to be looking at probably the new war mechanism as well. So the best way to never miss another stream, obviously, is to hit that subscribe button, guys, and hit that subscribe button right now and never miss another stream and keep up to date with all the latest info.